We often treat our lives like a dress rehearsal, convinced the real performance starts only after we find the perfect opportunity or burst of inspiration. But while we wait for the stars to align, the clock keeps ticking, and the initial drive begins losing momentum. This period of getting ready feels like safety. It feels like we're being responsible. In reality, we are simply standing still, mistaking a lack of movement for a calculated pause. Here's the reality check. No one is coming to hand you the career, the health, or the clarity you're looking for. There is no external rescue mission on the way. Deciding your situation is your responsibility changes everything. Your mind stops making excuses and converts wasted energy into a forward-pointing vector. You can't stop obstacles, but controlling your response hardens your defenses, allowing progress to grow exponentially. True change doesn't wait for a signal from the outside. It begins the exact second you stop looking for a savior and finally start manufacturing your very own forward momentum. Most of us are taught to wait for a feeling, a spark of drive, before we start the work. We assume that the action follows the emotion, but emotions are volatile. If you only work when you feel like it, your output will be as inconsistent as your mood. Those who actually reach their goals have replaced that emotional spark with a mechanical routine. Look at the difference in these paths. The wave represents working based on how you feel. It's chaotic and unpredictable. The staircase represents working based on what you've scheduled. By following the steps regardless of your mood, you ensure a steady, upward trajectory. But even with a routine, we often aim low. We set realistic goals because they're comfortable, and they protect us from the embarrassment of a public miss. Small goals only require a small version of you. When you aim for something that feels slightly unreasonable, it forces you to upgrade your standards just to stay in the game. The sheer size of the target dictates the quality of your effort. Real progress is a two-part process. You use discipline to ignore your fluctuating moods, and you pick a target large enough to demand your absolute best every single day. We've been conditioned to see a mistake as a dead end, as a sign that we've reached the limit of our abilities. Instead of a stop sign, think of a setback as a piece of data. It isn't a judgment on who you are. It's an update on what parts of your strategy aren't working yet. This is how the process actually works. An action hits a barrier. Instead of stopping, the energy is routed into adaptation. You take the lesson, adjust the angle, and launch a more informed attempt. Success provides confirmation, but failure provides instruction. Every time you hit a wall and adjust, you are building a more resilient structure. Without these technical corrections, you'd be building on a foundation of guesswork. You might fear the embarrassment of a temporary mistake, but that is nothing compared to the weight of looking back decades from now and wondering what you could have achieved if you hadn't been so afraid to look foolish. A mistake is just the tax you pay for admission to a better version of your life. Avoiding the tax means you never get through the door. When you combine this mechanical discipline with a willingness to learn from every setback, your perspective begins to shift. You stop looking for permission and start looking for solutions. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about a total focus on what you can control. You stop obsessing over the obstacles in your path and start obsessing over the tools in your hands. Think about where 365 days of this consistency will put you. Imagine the person you become when you've spent a full year refusing to be derailed by your feelings or slowed down by your mistakes. That version of you is mathematically possible, but it has to be bought, and the currency is the work you do when you least feel like doing it. The distance between where you are and where you want to be is just a series of small, uncompromising actions, and the first of those actions has to happen right now. The perfect moment isn't coming. It's already here. Stop waiting, stop blaming, and start building. The clock is running.